You know, that piece of property's been paying somebody for 52 years or 55 years or something like that. And, you know, me and Allison are walking to the Camellia Grill this morning, and I'm like, check out that duplex. And she's got the Zillow thing on, automatically pops it up. Oh, yeah, that place is 170 years old. 170 years old, somebody has been collecting money from that property, if it is.
My name's Gerald Peters, and I believe that life is a trade. I've dedicated my life to investing in three things: myself, business, that is stocks, and real estate. I've now devoted my life to sharing my love and teaching what I know from my life. Every 3 to 4 months, I host a private event at my home in the historic French Quarter district of New Orleans. I hope to see you at one of my live events. Yes. Hey, man. Gerald Peters, welcome back to the channel. Wow. So if you saw my last couple videos, we were talking about, I'm doing this series called Life is a Trade. Well, we're going to continue with that. And today we're going to be talking to my friend Robert Biggerstaff. Robert owns a bunch of properties, millions of dollars in real estate. How do we do that? How can I do that? How can you do that? Most importantly, what kind of person do you need to become? What do you need to be thinking about? What kind of troubles does he have? That's what we're going to dig into today. I hope you enjoy the interview. Yes. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Gerald Peters. We're continuing in our series, Life is a Trade. Hopefully you enjoyed the last couple videos with me and the Day Trade Professor. Yesterday we were talking about stocks, and today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, real estate. And real estate's been the foundation of how I've built my wealth. And today I have my good friend here, Robert Biggerstaff, with me, joining me to talk real estate.
But I do remember something monumental. My mom told me and my sister, said, hey, I'm going to spend $500 on each of y'all for Christmas, and I can do a couple things. I can give it to you cash, you can tell me what you want, or I can buy you a mutual fund. Back then, tech funds were the big rage, like Bitcoin. That's right. Back in, this was probably 1991, okay? And so me and my sister said, hey, let's go ahead and get the mutual fund. And we made a bet on Christmas for $100 on who would have more by next Christmas. And she said, let's make it 200. By July, I let her out early for $100 because she was never going to catch me, okay? And all of a sudden, I would check this thing like once every 2 days, and I was making money while I was sleeping. And that, my friend, is the greatest thing on earth.
Like I heard you mention earlier, it's just harder to get loans today.
Yes, it is. Financing is completely different than what it was back when I first started, unfortunately. And then if you're like me, I don't have a W-2, okay?
Right, which we have that problem here. Me and her were talking about that this morning. She's trying to buy a property.
Right.
No W-2, and it's like,
It's very difficult. I did find a place down in Tampa. I bought a house right after Hurricane Sally, $47,000. And ended up putting $10,000 into it. It appraised at $124, and so I walked out of closing with a check for $85,000. Got all my money back out, a little bit of profit, and the gal that lives there is a convicted felon. She came to me 2.5 years ago and was like, nobody will because she's got a pit bull. She said, nobody will rent to me, and nobody even likes my dog or anything like that. And she's my best tenant.
Nobody will rent to me, and nobody likes my dog. That's how bad it is.
The dog's a biscuit eater. Whenever you come over as Sheba, she'll just come over there and lick you to death, get right up in your lap and everything like that. But this gal, she paid rent. She set the record 19 years. I've never had anybody pay 16 days early except for her. And like clockwork, every month, she is there on time and is always saying, thank you for giving me a chance.
Right.
Because nobody else would even look at her.
And that's something that, logistics of real estate aside, it's one of the oldest ways of making money. Like, being a landlord. That's
Sure.
where the terms come from back in the day. And it supports the government. It's patriotic,
Right.
It provides for people, shelter. I mean, we've talked about that. It's a beautiful way to get rich.
Sure.
Because most of our tenants cannot afford the homes we provide for them.
Right.
Like you were thinking, why would they pay rent for 19 years? She can't. bad credit,
Sure.
felon,
Sure.
probably has a low-paying job.
Sure.
On her own, she'd never be able to afford your house, probably.
Right. Right.
And so it's a beautiful thing, man. It's like giving back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's why I get mad sometimes when I see landlords and stuff, and it's all just a paper transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not real estate for me.
Right.
For me, it's broken toilets and talking to people. It's
No
human
doubt.
beings. It's not. It is an ROI, and we do want to make money.
Sure.
But it's that what you said. Like,
Right.
you can directly benefit and help people, man. It's cool. So you're cool with pets. We were talking about that.
I am.
Me too. We love pets, but they have to be treated. We like our pets to be treated almost like people. Like, they have them in the house. They take care of them. We don't want them chained to trees outside.
Yeah, no. And the biggest thing that I found is that people with pets are commitment oriented. That's what you want for a tenant. You know, we were talking, me and Jose, he's got somebody, a house he just bought, been there 10 years. I'd like take a $200, $150 a month reduction, keep that person for the next 30, you know. That's your gold right there. Turnover is the number one killer on the profit margin having to do with the property. If you don't have any damage to it. Turnover is going to be your killer right there.
That's it. What you just said there. That's an issue landlords struggle with, like raising rent, or do I not raise rent?
Right.
And finding that balance between, because you know your taxes are going up, your
Sure.
insurance is going up, your repairs are going up. When is it? But sometimes these are such bread and butter deals, and you got them so cheap, and it was such a good, like, why rock that boat?
And I do agree to a certain extent. The thing though that I've found that happens is that if we don't have increases,
Right.
what we do is we prepare that person for failure if they ever leave, because the reality of the situation
Right.
is that there's such a small percentage of landlords that don't do the increases, so they're not acclimated to that. And so what ends up happening is that they go out into a world, and it's like pushing somebody out that has to make 25 an hour and they're only making 15. They're going to fail, okay? And the other problem is that the cost of the shingles have gone up. You know, I know that, you know, we do something with having to do with roofs, and since Hurricane Sally, we've had 3 price increases. The other day in Pensacola, Florida, I bought an 8-foot treated 2x4. It was $12.
Yeah.
Okay, that piece of wood less than 2.5 years ago was $6.59 at Home Depot.
Right.
All right, and so those rent increases are necessary for us just to be able to have that piece of property at the same standard for it to be able to exist.
He knew the price of boards. That's when you know your product.
Right.
Like yesterday, I was talking about that. You can ask me. I can tell you within the hour the price of some particular stock or something.
Right.
Just because you're in it, right?
Right.
You're focused on it. Same in real estate. I'll do that sometimes at Home Depot. You've probably done this. I'm not really buying anything. I'm just looking at things.
Sure.
And I go through looking at the boards, and then I'll look up, what the hell does that mean? I'll look up something on the board. That's how you learn about stuff. Right?
Absolutely.
You know, where is the lighting? If I needed switch plate covers, where are those in the store? And this is silly, but think of the time you save when you know exactly
Sure.
where the dryer vent things are.
Right.
You go right to there, you get it, and you go right back out
It's
the
aisle
store.
32 in Pensacola on Fairfield.
And I'm not kidding. Like, I have mine memorized. If you were to ask me where are a little, this, my wife too, and we know exactly where it's at. You have to,
Absolutely.
and I never hear. I've never seen that in a course or in a real estate thing, like learning. And like, I know when to go to Ace Hardware versus when to go to Lowe's versus when to go to Home Depot.
Right.
And and I guess people figure these things out, but it's not. Those aren't the things that I ever see being taught. Things like that. These
Sure.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me. Back to that first deal. I'm fascinated by first deals because mine was an interesting deal too. My first deal was actually 2 houses,
Okay.
and sometimes I describe it as 1, and then sometimes I describe it as 2. And if I describe it as 1, I cut it in half.
Right.
So I'm at least ethically talking about that. And it was a mother and son. And this is crazy when I think about it now. It was $75,000 for 2 houses.
Nice.
And I think it was like 2003. It's right after the tech crash.
It was a year, so 204?
Yeah, maybe 204. It's hard to remember times.
203, 204 time frame.
And I had to put 20% down, so on 75,000, that's 15 grand. And I literally had 15 grand.
Right.
And it was all our money.
How'd you get 15 grand?
Mowing yards.
Boom, there you have it.
Just blue collar. I mean, it could have been driving for Uber today, right?
Right.
It wasn't a high paid thing. It was just something I did a lot of and got a bunch of money. And I just saved it. And I had a moment where I bumped into someone, and it was a husband of someone my wife had been friends with since 3rd grade. And we weren't married, and we went on vacation with another couple, which is not usually high on my list of fun activities. And
You're a people person, right?
right. And I just don't like the other people's schedules, you know?
Sure,
You
sure.
know, like having to entertain them. But that trip changed my life.
Right.
Because I met a guy, he was 36. I mean, he was a little older than me. And, you know, he's worth a couple $1 million, not a lot. But he showed me the numbers, you know. Go to the ghetto area, go out just a little bit. You know, he's the one that showed me that. Like, go into the roughest area and then back up a little to where, I don't know if I'd want to live here, but I could.
Right.
You know, you want to be there. That's what he told me, and it's a circle usually. And then start looking for, you know, he broke that down, you know, 20% down, good credit, find the property, fix it yourself, clean up the yard, blah, 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 raise the rent. I mean, that's the formula. And he wrote it on a little card.
Right.
Hand me a book. And that night I read the whole book.
Nice.
I was fascinated. And he told me, if you buy 10 houses, I guarantee you'll be a millionaire. Reality is you'll be like 3 millionaires.
Sure.
Because they're going to double and triple over the years, you know?
Right.
And I remember just sitting there thinking, he goes, do what I just showed you 10 times. That's it. So simple. And I read that book that whole night, and he was impressed I read the book. He's like, man, I've given that book to a bunch of people. Nobody ever read it. I read it. I left there within a month, man. We had found a house. And I
Nice.
was broke. And, you know, the rest is history. And then I just stayed broke.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm always broke. I mean, any money I make, I immediately invest it. And, you know, at a certain point, maybe you're not broke anymore because your assets and stuff, but in our mind we are, right?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. On that first deal, you said 25 grand, and then you did a refi out,
Yes.
and that was years later, I assume.
I think that was about 4 years after I'd had the property.
I was talking this morning at breakfast, and I was saying in my opinion, that's the sweet spot.
Right.
You buy a house, you fix it, you get a renter in, it's cash flowing. 3-5 years, really 5 is better. That's a lot of payments, and that's a lot of appreciation.
Right.
And that wedge that starts to happen there's a lot of equity in there. So on paper, it's not in your pocket, but you can get to it.
Yeah, because I owe just a little bit under 20 grand on it, and according to Zillow, it's worth about 68,000 right now.
Right.
So there's another 40 in it.
Right.
That, regardless of the rent and just what I paid for it, you know, technically I could pull $80,000 out of it, and I've collected rent for 19 years.
It's an infinite investment.
It is, absolutely. And I'll never forget, God rest his soul, Rick talking about seeing that duplex that he saw like back in 1950 something. And he said, you know, that piece of property's been paying somebody for 52 years or 55 years or something like that. And, you know, me and Allison are walking to the Camellia Grill this morning, and I'm like, check out that duplex. And she's got the Zillow thing on, automatically pops it up. Oh, yeah, that place is 170 years old. 170 years old, somebody has been collecting money from that property if it has been rented.
Right.
Okay? I don't know of any other investments that stick around like that.